Hi. So I don't know how many people this is gonna reach. I mean, I have like other YouTube channels that are a lot bigger, but this one's just like for myself, and I guess maybe I'll share it with a few friends, but I don't really know. I've had this idea of, introverts versus extroverts for a long time, and I've been working on this concept of a story for years, and I just never I couldn't like quite get I had so much writer's block, and I'm such a perfectionist, and I couldn't just quite get it. But this summer I did finish. I managed to like get a first draft. It's a really bad one. Like I really rushed it during the end. So that's kind of unfortunate, but at least got a first draft. So now I'm going through and then like I'm kind of changing things and I'm mainly making like an outline. Um, and it's a little weird. It's kind of conflicting within my mind. Like, should I be spending time on this? Because, life is confusing when you're a high schooler and I need to figure out what I want to do with my life. But this is just one of those things that I really wish would work out for me, I guess, or at least I could get it out somewhere, but I just don't know. So I kind of wanted to like track my progress or at least record my progress on here because I think that would be pretty cool. Um, so essentially the premise of this is, I guess I can just read this. So Moon, an introvert, becomes friends with another introvert, Julian. With them, the group of introverts, because there's like a third one, who are bitter about society's quote unquote natural order, which to them, they believe that it is extroverts over introverts because extroverts are naturally born to them with like socially, ideal traits, which cause them to have much easier lives, on the surface at least, at school. And considering these guys are seventh graders, so exactly halfway through middle school, that's really a lot of their lives, right? They see a lot of their world at school. And a lot of this is based off of my own experiences from middle school. So Moon, Julian, and the third one who's called Jules. Julian and Jules are already friends, and then Moon will meet Julian, and then they'll like talk a bit. Like obviously, there's like more detailed circumstances, but they'll talk a bit, and then they'll like get a connection, and then they'll form a trio, and then they'll call it Frost. Julian will call it Frost because it's kind of based off Robert Frost's poem. I think it's like Road Not Taken or something, and obviously Julian misinterprets it to misinterprets the poem to mean that taking the path not taken is always good. So he wants to take the path not taken by interrogating like the extroverts to see if they'll acknowledge their social advantage and also apologize for making introverts' lives harder because you know a lot of the times in middle school I would see like socially like as quote unquote privileged kids they would like go around like they would like kind of poke fun or make fun of like quiet shy kids, sometimes me, but usually not me because like I wasn't that bad. And then like the awkward kids wouldn't be able to do anything because they don't know how to respond, and that would just make them seem undignified, and that just kind of wore away at like my values or like one of my friends' values. I mean, Julian is based off of one of my former friends. I mean, I moved, so I'm not there anymore, but he was very bitter and angry towards the extroverts and the popular kids, so Julian is based off of that. Um, but through this process of like planning this interrogation, the two extroverts that they're planning to interrogate, one of them is called Alex. He's like I guess the popular guy, and then while the popular girl is Lily, she's called Lily. I might add her to the interrogation. The girl that they're actually the person that they're interrogating is called Luna, and Moon. So Luna and Moon are both Korean American. Um, and so, but they don't really know each other. The families don't know each other, but uh, Moon likes Luna, right? Um, and I think like the thing is Luna. I think like I'm gonna have Luna like Moon, but it's just gonna be one of those because they do have it's not like they're strangers because in this city, like in this Korean American community, there is like an awareness of each other. So they have some history, but they don't know about it. So the way that this is all gonna be brought up is kind of like there's gonna be like this Korean like family like gathering, not family gathering, like social gathering, and then like Moon and Luna will like by coincidence happen to be there because the family who invites them happens to know both of them. So they're gonna meet there, and then I'm gonna make something happen. But like they do like each other, but they don't know that they like each other, obviously. So that's kind of a fun thing. But the thing is, Moon, um, after like he is bitter towards Luna, I think. So there needs to be some prior connection for this to make any sense. But he's bitter towards Luna because she has the life. She has like seems to have like a perfect happy-go-lucky life, and she doesn't seem to like care about anything. In reality it's completely opposite, but he doesn't know that. So like out of anger, like he's like Julian, we let's interrogate you. I mean, Luna. So he's like, so that's how she ends up in this interrogation pool. But through this whole like plan of interrogation, Moon is forced to confront the fact that extroverts' lives are just as confusing and difficult as introverts' lives, just in different ways. But Julian refuses to admit this, which like really deepens the conflict. So that's a really simplified version. I think I'm gonna go to the outline. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just like rambling, to be honest. I'm seeing if I can say this in words so I can see if it makes any sense. So, um, maybe I could talk about like the main characters. Oh, wait, no, Mitchell is not a character anymore. Not really. Let's see. So the thing is, so Moon is like he's a guy, an introvert, a socially rather awkward introvert, but he also has some bias. He has some bias, because he's smart. He's really smart, and he knows that, and he knows that not everyone is that smart. Um, but I mean, he acknowledges that he's biased, but he also feels like the bias is justified to some extent. Although Moon's issue a lot of the time is that emotion will blur his judgment. So he does separate like school society into introverts and extroverts. God, I have something in my throat. And that'll result in like if like an extrovert, like if Alex or Lily or one of them were to like make fun of him or like poke fun at him or just go like hi Moon, like you know how those popular kids will do that at school, like Moon won't know how to respond. Like some kids know how to respond, but Moon doesn't. Same goes for Julian. Although Julian's parents are both like extroverts who don't understand him, putting that very simply, and he's had some experiences that cause him to be extremely bitter towards like extroverts, and he's under the assumption, which honestly from his point of view is a pretty justified assumption, that people who are extroverts don't understand cannot like physically cannot understand introverts as like a psychological like barrier, like you can't do that. So that's why he wants to break that barrier and force the extroverts to like realize that like their lives are so good and they should be treating introverts better. And in the end, Julian wants to get revenge because he's been bullied a lot more. Like Moon isn't a bullying victim by any means. Like he's been like made fun of, but but it's not like regular. Like he's a relative. Like he's in the middle of the road. Um, in like the victim status, I suppose. But he has his own thing going on with Luna. And then I didn't really mention Jules. I guess I do have like a thing here. Um, let's see, where's Jules? Here, Jules Campbell. So she is interesting, I think. She grew up like a typical like I guess white girl, you would say. Um, and then she was like one of the popular kids in elementary school. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. But then, like, she was in like a dance, like, sure, whatever friend group, like one of those friend groups. But then she developed a crush on, what is it, Alex, who I said was the like main popular guy, and she thought she liked him back. So in fifth grade, I'm pretty sure, like, she went way too fast. So she asked him out, but he was so caught off guard that he rejected her rather brutally. I don't think Alex liked Jules at all. Or maybe he did. I don't know. I mean, that's not really something I'm thinking about right now. But this combined with the fact that like she asked it in a way, and like his Alex's friends weren't very nice, and like that just made her withdraw completely. And then her friends, and oh, well, she quickly lost interest because people kept making fun of her. She hoped that her group would defend her, but they were getting busier and busier. I guess it was like they were heading towards more serious dance and cheer as they were going into middle school, but Jules wasn't as invested because she does like, I mean, she likes dance and cheer, but she also likes like I guess history, math, science, all that stuff. Not saying that cheer people, though her friends didn't, it's just that they were much more invested in cheer and dance than she was, right? So a while after the rejection, she worked up the courage to directly face her group to ask them why they seemed to not care about her. And then they said that they hadn't even known that she was going through such a thing. So she's an internalizer, which is kind of a big theme here for a lot of the characters, but etc. etc. So she's like she got isolated, she got depressed. It became a vicious cycle. She hates everyone. Um, and then like she just isolated. Now I think I want to have like I had an idea where like she meets Luna, like volunteering at the library because Jules' sister used to do that or does that. So she does that, and then they meet. She meets Luna, and it's like situational friends, I guess. So she goes into middle school as like a loner, and then like she randomly like, and then like she doesn't know where to sit at lunch, and then Julian's sitting by himself, I think. So she just like she's desperate, so she just goes and sits with him. And then like Julian, I think you got to understand that Julian is extremely manipulative. He's very smart as well. So I mean, he has a plan. Like everything that he does, I feel like anything that Julian does that seems like even remotely socially like normal, I feel like that's all planned for him or something. But I know that seems a little far fetched for a seventh grader, but like the seventh graders I knew, I mean, they could definitely, they were capable of that. Although they obviously they didn't. But I feel like Julian's just like planning all of this. So eventually, like through events, I think I have the outline like Moon's Foursquare. So like today, yesterday and today, I outlined chapter one again. Like the original chapter one, like it's not original. This is like chapter one, like a billion version of billion. But I can't scream to scroll. Like the original chapter one is like I had this, and then like I already planned it out, right? Like I had this. This is like the first like plan, and then I wrote it, and then now I'm like revising the outline. I guess maybe I should have just revised the outline beforehand, but whatever. I already wrote all this, and I can't do anything about it. So like he's playing. He usually plays Foursquare at recess, but then his friends, I guess, because Moon plays soccer, but right now it's January, so they're not playing soccer. But he still like kind of hangs with like the guys on his team, although he doesn't really fit in with them, right? Because they're like athletic, competitive. I mean, not saying Moon's not athletic. Moon is athletic, but they're competitive, extroverted, like vulgar, I guess. But Moon's not. And his Foursquare, they always all play Foursquare together, but the Foursquare gets disbanded because one of them, Rowan, is misbehaving. So they all go to play basketball, but Moon hates basketball. He can't see, like, it's too awkward for him. He can't, and he's too nervous to go play because, like, well, for A, he doesn't want to, and that's enough for him. So he, like, wanders around and, like, realizes that the only place to really go is, like, the tables, and then the only, like, table with, like, no people at it is the one with only Julian. And obviously, Moon and Julian already know each other. Julian is in his band, which is first period, and then he's also in his PE class, and then his design thinking class, which is basically like, I guess, like hands-on class. I guess that's something I had, so I just added it in here because it's gonna serve like as a setting later on. So they go there, and then ironically, it's kind of ironic because they're both introverts who are very opposed to small talk, but they end up like talking because I don't know. They end up talking. Maybe it's calculated for Julian. Like Julian may have been seeing, like looking, like scouting people. Maybe he's had this plan all along, and he's like looking to execute it. But I feel like that's too much for a seventh grader. Now Jules is sick that day, so it's just Moon and Julian, and then they end up talking, and then Lily will come over with her friends and like make fun of them, which will get Julie like which will really annoy Julian. And then that kind of shows Julian's like extreme side, which Moon is like, oh, whoa, 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 a little bit like that about. But like Moon is kind of overwhelmed by the fact that Julian like actually kind of thinks like him. So that's kind of what makes them like go together, I guess. Um, and then we go to like humanities, which is sixth and seventh hour, so it's like two periods put together. Luna is in this class. Julian and Jules are both in this class as well. So same goes for Alex and Lily. Like they are all smart kids in the grade. So like they're all both in the same. They're all in the same class here. And there's a new seating chart because it's a new semester, and then Moon is across from Luna at the same table. There's another guy called Sammy, and then Jules also happens to be at this table, and then Julian is he has his back to Moon, so he's at another table. So they're like kind of together there. Um, so there's two main things in humanity. There's this school, Lincoln Middle School, has a Martin Luther King ceremony, which seventh graders from Mrs. Suter's class write a poem about Martin Luther King Jr. And then it'll be nominated. Like a couple will be nominated to be read at the ceremony. That's one thing. So they're gonna write the poems today or tomorrow. I forgot. And then another thing is that they're gonna start reading a book, Stargirl by Jerry Spinelli. I think that's how you spell it. Say it. Sorry. So it's gonna since it's like an English social studies class, they need it. They're reading a book, and then they're gonna be doing like a partner project on it, and then the partners will be determined using the seating chart, and they think it's gonna be with the person next to you. So Moon's like, oh, maybe I'll be with Jules, but in fact it's gonna be, or maybe Jules is sitting next to Luna, but I don't know. But in fact it's gonna be a cross, so Moon's gonna be with Luna, which will like serve as its own like catalyst for the plot. And then yeah, so those are the two main things, and then there's an after school band rehearsal for seventh grade. So after school on Mondays. So Luna talks about it, and Moon's like, oh god. So then they go to the band room, and then the main thing here is that Moon likes Luna, and he wishes she would like talk to him. But the thing is, she does like he notices that she won't talk to him as much as she does to the other percussionists because they're all percussionists, and it's because Luna like kind of likes him, so like it's awkward for her as well. She doesn't know what to do, especially because Moon is not like the other boys she's liked. The other boys she's liked would be like extroverted and all this stuff, but Moon isn't. So this like makes her awkward. She doesn't really know what to do, how to approach him, so she just like lets him be, which really annoys Moon because he thinks she's intentionally not like she's intentionally isolating him, and he can't seem to join him because they're also like to him they're also immature and like dumb and stuff. So he's just isolated. And then there's like others who join chatting, and then they start playing, And then the main thing about the playing is that like Luna's struggling with a timpani, but she asks Blaine for help when Moon is the much more musically experienced guy, but she doesn't ask him because she's nervous to ask him because she thinks he'll judge her. Sorry. So that really annoys him. And then I guess I think it's chapter one. I mean, they exchange this thing consonants. That's the opposite of discord. So that was a little play on words. But yeah, and then chapter two. So that's chapter one, like the basic outline. That like this develops like this introduces like Moon, like this introduces all the important school stuff. And then in chapter two, so the another subplot is gonna be the family, Moon's family. So the Moon's family thing is Moon, his brother Ash, his younger brother Ash, who is in I think, uh, he's in second grade right now, I think. And then his dad, they're all introverts, but Moon's mom is an extrovert. Now that results in her becoming like isolated, right? So I think I have a list here, like invisible caregiver. She has no one to talk to. She overcompensates. Um, so I kind of want to develop that, but before that, Moon comes home from his piano lesson. He goes home with his dad in the car, and then they like talk. This kind of like introduces dad as like the good mentor, but he's also not like the direct mentor. Like dad is the morally correct mentor, while Julian is the more like is the actual mentor in the story, but he's like an inverted mentor because he's teaching the wrong things. He's teaching the completely wrong things, and dad is teaching the right things, but dad isn't like as major as Julian is, right? Like Moon knows, like Moon can feel this, but at the same time, like later on, like he'll be so like invested in this, and he's like his emotions will completely take over him, right? So he's just gonna completely like give into it, give into like the vengefulness and the revenge, and there are gonna be like multiple events which hopefully will cause Moon to hate Luna even more. Although the main turning point for this is where like they're working on the group project, and then like Moon, and then like Luna's been having a hard time at home or like her life or social life, and then like she'll have an outburst at Moon, which and Moon will be like, "Oh God, wait, what have I done?" or something like that. But then Julian at that moment will come in and be like callous to Luna or like callous to Moon, which will make Moon realize, wait, Julian's insane. But then at that point, he can't like back out of it or anything, or like Julian threatens him or something, which shows that Julian's just completely going insane. But that's for a while, a while later. And the main thing here after that, they're at dinner, and then Moon's mom is talking about like the Korean like gathering thing that will bring Moon and Luna together by coincidence, and then Ash, who is like socially awkward, like he's very smart, but he's not socially developed or like whatever. He doesn't have good control over his emotions, so he just complains that he's gonna be bored. Like Moon's mom wants him to like take a video game so he can like socialize. Moon's dad just tells him to take a book because that's the logical solution, which kind of shows the clashing of values. And then like Ash sighs rudely, and Moon's mom tries to correct his attitude, but that causes Ash to melt down, which like makes mom sad because like that just links like any sociality or like any like socialness in the family with like negativity, right? And then dad understands Ash because they're like more like each other, so he just knows that like Ash should probably just like they should just let Ash be. So that's just a divide in the family, and then Moon's mom will probably grow like slowly isolated, which is like a pretty dark storyline. I understand. I don't really want to write about it, but I feel like it's a good like it's a like a thematic mirror. That's what some people call it because Moon becomes social like Moon and Julian are the socially withdrawn ones, but throughout this they'll become more vocal in different ways. But Luna and Moon's mom, who are the extroverts, they're gonna become more withdrawn because on the surface they look fine, but then on the inside there's like some bad things going on, right? So it's gonna be interesting. Now I don't know how this is almost 20 minutes. I've just been yapping for 20 minutes, but yeah, that's gonna be this, and we'll see how it goes. I guess this I can call this like number one. I don't know if I'll call it day one though, but yeah, that's the premise.